And we just added all these Skype conversations from the past 3 to 5 years, I guess, to Walter, also as a source of knowledge. So even today, if someone of that company has a problem with that machine, they can just ask Walter, put in like the error, and what Walter is looking for is not only the videos and documents, but also that Skype conversations.
Welcome to Manufacturing Insiders. Today I have Michael Blickenstorfer with me. He is a Swiss tech entrepreneur. He's a serial tech entrepreneur. He's built a number of companies. The one that he's built most recently, Rimon, is of great interest. We are in the middle of a, some people might call it a crisis. Some people might be a little bit less dramatic, but we're in a bit of a situation with an aging workforce, and they need to bring in new employees to get them trained up and to share some of that tribal knowledge inside of the manufacturing companies. Michael's solution to this is pretty brilliant, and I think any manufacturer listening is going to find it interesting and find that this could definitely have some application inside their company. So welcome to Manufacturing Insiders, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me. Hey.
Absolutely. So before we get into the meat of this, just want to say real quick, if you're listening to this episode and you like what you hear, give us a subscribe, give us a like, share the video with other people in your network. If you're a leader in manufacturing and you feel like you'd have some insights to share with other leaders, go to manufacturinginsiders.com, fill out the form there, and we'd be glad to have you come on as a guest. So, Michael, can you describe the function of Rimon and how it's helping manufacturers?
Yeah. So what we basically have developed is a video-based knowledge capturing system. So it's all about how can you easily document all the work procedures, like operating a machine or servicing it, maintaining it. Like that has been done. Usually just by writing down instructions right into a Word document, throw it into document, and then in the end nobody reads. So what we do is like our approach is with a body camera that you can actually document on the job while you execute the work. And we take these recordings from body cam and turn it by the press of a button basically into a searchable video instruction. So our system actually has an AI component to it that makes it very easy to search for these videos. They can also be combined with documents. And if you just need to know one small bit of information, maybe to reassure yourself, you can use our system to get straight on point into the video without having to watch or read the whole manual or instruction.
Yeah, I mean, so basically this is taking what you would, basically have to do with training a new employee, where somebody has to physically walk through every part of the process with them. And this experienced operator can do this one time, and then that can be shared with all future employees.
Exactly. That was, we started the company 5 years ago, and we walked along with a lot of experts or seniors just to basically observe and learn from them. And what we've seen the most is that most of the time you have that job shadowing, right, where you just explain and show the juniors how to get the job done. And that takes so much time and effort, especially if you have to repeat that every year or every 6 months because you have like new people starting the job. So our idea basically is to do it once and to do it once and right. And to repeat that and provide it to anyone new to the job whenever they need it, and also especially in their language, so they don't have to figure it out if, for example, English is not their native language they're speaking.
Right. No, I mean, it's brilliant. So it uses a body cam that this experienced employee is going to wear, throughout an entire day, I assume, and then he's going to kind of dictate verbally what he's doing throughout the process.
Yeah, kind of. They don't have to wear it all day long, basically, because in the end, what we where we help the companies is also to break down which processes need to be documented. Because there are some, I would say, like standardized procedures that you see once and you learn it once and then you get it, right? But there are some more complicated things, especially like when it comes to troubleshooting, where you might need some additional guidance or that you don't do that often. So like especially some maintenance cycles that you have like every 6 months or every 12 months. And the person that usually does it is not here and you have to do it. So usually we put together like a checklist of procedures that they want to document, and they can also do it themselves indeed. But with those or with that checklist, they actually have very specific procedures that they record. So usually it's like a process between 20 or 30 minutes. It can be longer, but usually we break it down into like different sections. And then they uploaded it, and we take care of the rest, like doing the transcription, processing the video so that it becomes searchable, and that they can create the work instruction out of it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's fascinating, and I mean it sounds like there's never been an easier way to document work processes, which is important not only for training new employees, but it's important for ISO certification and various other types of quality processes.
Absolutely. And the problem is always it takes so much time and effort to put together that documentation just in order to be ISO compatible or certified. And the biggest, or a lot of one of the biggest challenge the companies are facing is usually they have someone specialized in making the documentation, so writing everything down and putting everything together. But that's usually not the person that is the expert in handling the equipment. So there's always two, or at least two people involved in creating the documentation. So that documenter goes along with the expert, taking notes, taking the pictures, putting them together into a document. And we have one customer, it took them several business days until they had like the work instructions together. And yet nobody was really able to understand how to execute these instructions because they were too complicated, too detailed, and not really straightforward. And this is actually where the system becomes in very handy, because we replicate somehow that process of teaching somebody how to do the stuff, right? Very straightforward, very easy, and can also be supporting when it comes to getting certified in ISO, because you're much faster in putting together all the documentation, and yes, something that your people can really use on the job when they need it, and they don't have to watch or read the whole thing.
Yeah. Have you had any companies that's been the use case that they've been primarily interested in, or is that just sort of a side benefit that occasionally comes up?
You mean like the certification part of it?
Yeah, the certification. Yeah.
Actually, we have some companies that are using it. So one of them is actually one interesting use case is they already have the certification, so they have all the processes documented, and they just linked all these documents into our system. And the good thing is, or what they actually found out, is that they have some documents that are actually inconsistent, because they were using the system to ask some questions, to retrieve information, right? And what they found out is that they actually have multiple sources for the same procedure, So what they actually found out is there are some inconsistencies. So it's not only good in kind of like getting the certification, but also making sure that you can actually get or benefit from all these documents you have.
Right.
And some other companies are actually about to use that for certification purposes as well.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing to have the quality certification and the SOP, but it's got to be in agreement with the guy that's actually doing the work, and that SOP is actually communicated to them. So it can actually kind of help you cross-reference between operators, and determine, create some consistency in the way things are done.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen a lot that there's like the documentation is there, but the people are not really following that procedures that are documented, because in reality, there are some tips and tricks, right? Some steps you can make a bit better or faster or more efficient. And this is actually that knowledge, that very valuable knowledge, that's usually nowhere documented. And you only get that if you, if the senior is showing that to their juniors. And that's actually I would say also the sad part. I mean, you have that certification, right? You make the huge effort of putting together documentation, but in the end, you just have a big file of documents that nobody really cares about, and not really useful to day-to-day operations. And with what we do, we can actually bring that long-term value, let's say, on that certification, and that people really can follow along, and they have much easier access to information when they need it, and they don't have to I'll look for different document file storages or look up information through a classical search, or they're not able to find it. So there are lots of different benefits, I would say, not only in creating the documentation, but also in making it searchable and findable whenever you need it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's huge, to be able to just kind of find this specific piece of information, like, this machine just broke down. How do I fix it? What are the troubleshooting steps? That sort of thing. So, so if you're the experienced worker who is doing the recording, what sort of guidance do you provide to him? A lot of these guys aren't exactly the most talkative fellas in the world. So, like, what kind of guidance? How do you communicate to them what they need to be saying as they're doing it?
Yeah, so that's a very crucial part of the onboarding process we have on our side. So one thing for sure is that they need to understand what's actually the purpose of this, right? It's about it's about helping them, because usually these are the ones that are getting constantly interrupted because somebody needs their help. They need to support somewhere, so they're the ones that are the most exhausted, right? And if you can show them, hey, what you're doing with that recording, that brings you the biggest value, because it kind of like reduces the interruptions you're having. So that's one part, or one very first thing we do, is like communicating the actual benefit. And when it comes to recording, what's very important is that it should be as natural as possible. So we don't go into the companies and say like, hey, here's the script, and that's like every single word you have to mention and name during the recording. The idea and the system of how it works is really that you just start a recording button, you execute a job, you basically describe what you do, like just as detailed as possible. Like, now I take that wrench, or in that case, I need to work on that machine with that serial number or the type. So like all these keywords, right, that can be very useful in order to find information. That's just one thing. But for sure, there is always like that, I would say, like character part of a person, right? Someone is a bit more open to speak. Some of them are a bit less open to speak. That's not something we can control too much, but interestingly, especially like the older generation, the long-term employees, the experienced ones, they're quite talkative. They love to explain and they love to show what they are actually doing day by day, and that's actually where we can most of the time really get them, and that they are starting explaining for themselves. So we had a couple of times where we just did a one demo recording and they didn't want to stop actually explaining, so it just the recording took longer than expected. So that's usually the most or the biggest concern I have when I go for company visits and we do like a demo recording, that it takes longer than I actually want, because usually it should just be like a small recording to show on how the system works.
A lot of times they do like to, because a lot of times these are underappreciated jobs, and so I think a lot of these guys are excited to actually have somebody listen to what they go through on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And it can also be so I just wanted to add on this, like it can also be for them like a real legacy. So just imagine you're going to retirement in a year or so, and you can actually leave something behind. It's just sometimes even that, I would say, like that honor, right? That people will remember you as that expert that knows everything about the machine. So even 5 years after you've retired, some people are still watching your videos or getting your information. So that's also kind of like that part of appreciation, I would say, to these jobs as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I can just think of a wide variety of applications too. I mean, because I've known some companies too that go out and do like service for industrial companies, like go and fix the machines and things like that. And obviously, you don't want to give away all of your knowledge because that's what you get paid for. But I'm sure there's applications where they're like, do I really have to go to this company again to fix this same thing? And so they could be using this so that they can just share it with the company and say, hey, next time fix it yourself.
Yeah. So that's actually really interesting, because one of our companies we're working with, it's LNS. They do like peripheral equipment for CNC machines, so like water feeding systems, air filters, and so on. And they were actually looking for a solution to lower the pressure on their customer support, because all the time they have lots of calls and emails coming in, right? And about 50% of it is usually questions or questions that could be answered if you just read the manual. And this is where our solution, or where we partnered up and implemented our solution to their customer service portal, in order not only to release pressure on the customer support, but to actually enhance availability to the customers. So at the moment, or since we launched that in April this year, the customer has actually 24/7 access to. We call it actually Digital Walter. So that's like Walter, the guy that has all the knowledge of 20, 30 years, right? And they can use Walter to look through the documentation of their systems. And the good thing is, for the company, it's quite lucrative, right? Because they don't have to answer all the time, again, the same questions that are come up. And even for the customer, like think about, you're in the third shift. It's, I don't know, like 10 p.m. or so, 11 p.m. And no support is ran. So what you usually would do is like you would have to wait until the next business hours, until the next day. And because of that availability, they can instantly look for the problem, and in the best case, they can solve it for sure. That's not a guarantee, but at least they can start and help themselves, and that's like a huge benefit also, not only for the manufacturer but also for the end user that is facing a problem.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's literally a million applications. Like even, I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 17-month-old son, and so you get these toys that you have to assemble, and it's just ridiculous. Like the instructions don't say what this part is. Like you're like, what the heck? But can you
Yeah.
imagine if these product manufacturers could even use your solution for training program, for instructional videos for how to assemble this ridiculous toy?
Yeah. I mean, it's like in literally every manual I'm looking for. I'm always thinking like, why didn't they went for or go for a better solution than just having like a
Yeah.
huge textbook? Like recently, I was just fixing a car, so I wanted to look something up, right? And I took that big manual, that huge booklet, um, out of the car, and I was looking for that information, and it took me at least 10 minutes to find it. So
Yeah.
and I was like, if I would
Yep.
have that system, our solution, I would have done it in like 2 minutes or 1 minute even. So there is a
Yeah.
huge opportunity, not only let's say in manufacturing. I mean that's like where we are currently focusing in, but for example, what we've also seen is like operating ERP systems. I was just today with a customer, and we were doing a small demo session on how to register an order, or how to process that order in the ERP system. And that process was so complicated. It took him like 20 minutes and he wasn't finished. and we just recorded the whole session in a screen recording in order to process it on our side. And I was just, yeah, like, how can it be so complicated? But now I really understand, like, there's so much complexity sometimes in systems or in products. And the only solution today is still in most of the cases just a step-by-step text-based instruction. And as you know, the new generation, like your kids, they're just growing up differently with videos, with visual information. And so I think it's not only for now, but especially for the long term, the best approach to also remain, I would say, as an industry, attractive to young talents, if you can provide that next step of technology inside the shop floor, basically.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so it's like a learning management system. I mean, do you characterize it like that?
Not directly. Actually, we just see ourselves a bit after the training, or after the LMS has been deployed, right? We see ourselves a bit more on the operational side. So usually, when the people have received training or onboarding, the biggest challenge is that they can keep that knowledge themselves, or to really memorize it. And this is where we step in. So you received the training, you might got a full day of training, right? And even a day later or 2 days later, I would say like at least 50% of that, what you've learned that day, you would have forgotten. And this is like where we step in as kind of like a easy way to remember, or to retrieve knowledge that you might have already seen, but you just want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So it's not really a learning management system like with qualification levels and stuff like this. It's really a documentation system that people can use on the go when they're working on the machine or at the workstation, and they just need to know and they just have like a very specific question
I see. Okay.
to handle the process.
Yeah, that makes sense. How difficult is it to, like, let's say this machine operator was going through the 10 steps in setting up the machine and running a part through and, whatever finished processing he does. Let's say he should have described one part of it, changing the tool a little bit better. Like, how difficult is it to kind of like not redo the whole video and everything, but to, I guess, supplement a part of it?
Yes, good question. So there are different approaches we can take with our platform. So one thing is, if it's just like one small thing you forgot to mention, but you still did it on the recording side. So that's what actually happens from time to time, because the people are used to doing things, but they don't describe it because it's for them it's like normal.
Right. Right.
And this is where you can actually edit the whole transcription. So once the video has been recorded and transcribed into our system, there's like the opportunity to actually transcribe or to edit these captions. So it makes it very simple, especially if you just want to show or to change a specific part, that you can just add that. For example, make sure that you're wearing the safety equipment, safety glasses before you start working. So that's one thing for a very quick fix. On the other hand, if it's like if like the whole process changed in some very fundamental ways, we can also just, or what we usually suggest is that you just redo that specific process. So if you have like a process that takes you usually 30 minutes, you would break it down into, let's say, 4 small parts, separate recordings. So it also makes it very easy to re-record a part of it if that has changed over time. So we do not actually provide editing capabilities on the platform, but the main reason for that is we don't want people to actually edit videos. It's not part of their, let's say, expertise, right? It should rather be that they can focus on the job. And if something changes, they would just blindly re-record what they did, and it's in the system again. So it's kind of like these two ways or approaches you can do in order to correct or redo certain parts of the documentation.
I see. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And a big issue too, I think, one of the coolest things about this is the searchability of it. And so I'm familiar with the challenges of searchability, having incorporated a lot of different search engines into, websites and things like that. And it's very difficult to pump out the results that you actually want. So I wonder, so after the recording, do you have, can people add in keywords for specific sections? If the guy just talked through the process, but maybe somebody said machine tool instead of tooling, or, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm. So actually, Walter, or Digital Walter, is quite aware of different industrial keywords, or let's say of the natural language and its varieties. So even if the people are not looking for that specific keyword that was mentioned, but they're actually meaning the same, or they're looking for the same thing, Walter can make that connection and help you search for it. But I think what's really more interesting, and I think I will just quickly show it to you on how it works.
Sure.
Because what we actually do is like everything is QR code based. So once you made a recording for let's just think about a CNC machine, right? You recorded a specific process on how to mount a workpiece, for example. You would put that into a collection on our platform, and that collection can be tied to a QR code that will be attached directly at the machine. So everything that's operating that machine will be added to that collection. So Walter has kind of like that context of that machine and that collection, and these are the videos that Walter can or not know. So, and that makes it very easy to search, because usually, as you said, right, if you're looking at information on, for example, SharePoint, you most likely won't find that information because you're just scraping through everything, and it's always hard to find actually that part of, or that document or that information that you were looking for, because the context is just too bright or too wide, and it makes it hard for search engines to really dig up that information that they want to. So in this case, let me just
So if you that little button with the up arrow at the bottom, click on screen, and then usually I just do entire screen.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Let's see. Hope that works. Stopped.
Yep, I can see it.
You see it?
Perfect.
Right.
Yep.
Perfect. Yep. So what you can see now, that's actually the end users or the operator's view. So once you scan that QR code, you land in that web application. So everything is web-based. So no matter if you're using your smartphone, your tablet, or even your computer, you get right to the information, and that's a very crucial point, right? We don't want the people to sign up or log in and wait until they find the information they want to have it spot on, right?
Yeah. And Walter looks like the guy that knows everything about the operation.
Exactly. So here in this case, we just prepare Walter and Jonas, the junior, and they're actually exchanging information. That's part of that. Of the solution. Yeah. So in this case, I will just quickly show a bit of how it works for the people that can see the video or the live podcast. What we have here, that's basically how the process works. So we have like the operator, the expert, right? For example, in this case, explains how to use that measurement equipment to measure like small gears. It's like a gear production company, and as you can see, so this is like the first person view of the body camera he's wearing. So it makes it very easy to focus on the explanation and on the execution, while the body camera is actually recording 360 degrees. So there's like no, or he doesn't need to worry about if that's in the view or not. That can be later changed very easily to the focus point they actually want to have. So that's a bit on how it works. And now we just have one example. That's from a CNC machine. So it's about mounting the milling cutter into the machine. And what we got here, so that was recorded in Swiss German, but I can just switch to, let's say, English in that case. And now we have not just the video, we have like different chapters, right? And we have like all the crucial information in bullet points. So I don't even have to watch the whole thing. I can just jump to that section. I have like everything that is important for that section is just here in written in bullet points. So it's like not much text, right? Easy to read.
Yeah, that's great.
And I mean, it's not about only watching these videos. What I can do now is I can also use Walter here in the top right to ask specific questions. So in that case, for example, we could ask, Hey, Walter, can you tell me to how many thousands the milling cutter should run? And in this case, what Walter is doing is basically looking through all the information, so like the videos, as well as the documents that are behind the QR code. And in this case, he's not only just retrieving that information, he's also giving me back the video, and that specific part of the video where the expert is actually explaining that part of it.
Yep. And that way you can kind of confirm that you asked the right question and got the right answer.
Yes, exactly. So it's not only just providing any question, so like compared to, for example, ChatGPT, right, where you just get an answer, but you cannot really confirm with the documents or sources. In that case, Walter is always referring to either documents or, in that case, the video where he has that source from. So you, as an operator, can always make sure that you're not doing something you're not supposed to do. I mean, for sure, there is still some technical expertise required. So it's not that we can just put anyone into operating a machine. That's for sure. So that's what I'm saying. We're not on the learning management system part. We're really on the operational side, where the people already have received training, but they just want to make sure that they are doing it right and that they are not making something completely wrong that will, in the end, break down the machine, for example, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, even for semi-experienced operators that aren't troubleshooting, it might be a good thing, after they ran the operation, to double check and make sure that, because it's giving you a checklist, it's giving you the bullet points, make sure that you nailed all those items before you move on to the next thing.
Absolutely. Yes. It's like we have one company, they were having all the time issues with an Italian machine manufacturer because the machine broke down nearly every week. And for them, the biggest problem was basically getting that help because, the Italians, after like 3 p.m., they stop working. So they're not really that supportive and to some extent.
Right.
But what we actually did with because they had like Skype conversations with the support team of that manufacturing company, and we just added all these Skype conversations from the past 3 to 5 years, I guess, to Walter, also as a source of knowledge. So even today, if someone of that company has a problem with that machine, they can just ask Walter, put in like the error, and what Walter is looking for is not only the videos and documents, but also that Skype conversations. So in the case that issue had come up before in the past, they can just actually retrieve that and see like, oh, that was the problem, and this is how they fixed it before. So it's like a very convenient, beneficial way to help even experienced people when they already have the experience, but they should then know the exact root cause of the problem.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, this is an amazing tool. I think it would be foolish for a manufacturer to not use it. And there's really nothing else out there like it. I mean, there's different ways of documenting processes, but a lot of manual action involved in them. So I think this is really cool. So if somebody was interested in getting this set up, what would it take? What do they have to do? How much work is it?
So that question comes up very often. Like, what's the effort to get started? And the good thing is, we can do it in a week or even less. So our approach is usually that we just set up a quick meeting that can be done online, just to understand the operations and the challenges the companies is having, and then it's kind of like just quickly do a demo recording. So that can be done either with the body camera on site, but what we usually also do is like we just do virtual setups where they record a process, an example, just with a normal smartphone or like a screen recording, right? As I said, we just support everything, and from there on, they can really see like how much is the effort, or how easy it really is, because once you have the recording, you uploaded it, you have an immediate transcription, and from there on, it's like already available. And the good thing is also because we can build up on existing documentation, so existing file shares or handbooks and stuff like that. You don't have to start from scratch. We just use that as the baseline, and then we start adding the videos based on what we define in the checklist, right? So this is where we also support the companies, like building that checklist and having like a clear roadmap implementing it. But usually it can be done like in a month. So like the LNS example I showed you, that was done in around 55 days, including testing and making sure the answer quality is high. So it's a very rapid start, and in a year you can actually get a return already that you spend on effort and time.
Yeah, I can imagine. So does every company have its own agent, Walter, or is there some knowledge sharing across the board that, that Walter grows smarter, I guess, as time goes by?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And the thing is, no, because we cannot share the data, right? It's a very crucial point in for almost every company. It's internal, let's say, restricted data that needs to reside in that space or in that own organization. So actually, we have many Walters. So every company has its own organization that runs a Walter system, and that's isolated from each other, just to make sure that it's not like interfering with anyone else's data. And we also host it in. So what we because we work with a lot of Swiss companies, we host it in Switzerland. We can also do it in the US, depending a bit on the requirements. But that was one of the main requirements, just to host it in a very secure cloud infrastructure. It's Microsoft, so we can make sure that the data is protected, and that only the company itself can access that data.
I see. Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. So when if somebody signs up, is there like a per seat sort of charge, or can anybody in the company access the information? Like, how do you charge, and I guess what kind of cost would be associated with setting this up?
Yeah. So it really depends on the use cases and number of people that potentially can access the application. So what we do have is like a shared license system, where we basically have floating licenses that define a certain amount. Let's say like you have an organization of 100 people, and you probably have like 30 to 50 consumption licenses, and that is usually sufficient for a day-to-day use by the organization. It's quite flexible. So what we usually do is we start on a smaller scale, and maybe for a department or two or three use cases, we predefine during the demo session and the meetings, and then we can just start building from there. So it's flexible. The related costs depends a bit. So usually it's like an annual license fee of around 11,000 US dollars per year. So it's like an annual subscription we have. And then it depends a bit on also, let's, for example, say the data residency, if that needs to be in the US. We just have to charge on an extra fee on that, but it's not much. So it's
Right.
like if you have a full rollout, I would say like it's between 15 to 30 K per year, depending also on the organization size for sure.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean honestly, that's not an unreasonable cost, and and when you think about what that experienced operator could be doing while he's training employees, and you think about the mistakes that you avoid and how much quicker you get machines back up and running and all of that sort of stuff, it's not going to be difficult to recoup that cost at all.
Yeah, I mean, especially like in summer environments, I've seen like a downtime, like 1 minute of downtime costs already that amount. You have to pay for the license. So I think it's like an affordable solution, also for medium-sized businesses. And the good thing is, like, depending on the company or like the product you're manufacturing. So we have a lot of machine manufacturers, and they are actually also using it as part of their digital business model. So like as LNS is doing it for the customer service, the system can also be used as a after training service, digital service to the customer. So you had the on-site training for the customer, but now you have like that 12 months of digital access to digital walkthrough, for example. So it's not only that you can use it internally, but in some cases you can really use it for your own customers and integrate that as part of your digital business model. So this is kind of also a very easy way to get a return from the product as well.
I see. Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. Just one other odd question. So, like, imagine somebody had one specific use case, like they had, they have 20 employees a year joining the organization, and they all need to be trained on this one role. And they didn't really want the program for any other application in the company. Would they have to have sort of an ongoing fee, or is there a way for them to use your system, document the process, and then own that material? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I get you. Like when you have like something very specific and it's always the same, there's not much change, but there's a lot of turnover. So you like constantly retrain the people in that. So in that case, I mean, to some extent, you can use our system as well. It's not that we have like a one-off system. That what we can do is like we can provide export of the data. So once you uploaded the video and you just want to export that SOP, the work instruction out of it as a document, you can do that, and you could just basically cancel the 1-year contract. But I mean, that would work, but our interest is usually to build up a long-term relation to the customer, because there are many use cases that are recurring, and also change over time. And for us, it's really about having a long-term and close relationship. So what we also usually do is, like, in the first year, we have like a weekly or bi-weekly check-in with the customer, where we just take the time of about 30 minutes to get some feedback, to listen where they are standing at, if they're facing any issues, and also if they have like feedback to further improve the product. So that's a bit more on our side, the focus we're putting on, really to have like a long-term relation and service to the customer.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and I was actually kind of asking that question more on the realm of like alternative use cases for the software. Like, I mean, picture a woman that has a health food related channel, and she wants to create some sort of a training for like how to make this juice or whatever it might be. And so like those one-off things where you could use this and then have a product to sell to people or train them how to do something.
Yeah. Actually, we've been talking many times about like a public, let's say, channel or a public platform site of things to really have like the people to add that knowledge. And we actually see that. I think it's not something we do on short term, but in the long term, part of our vision is to become like the Uber of manufacturing or of tutorials, so that everyone that has the tools to do things, right, that they just have like an app where they can provide that as a service to others. So that's kind of like the fundamental concept we're following to. So like regarding that juice example, right? So you have the mixer, you have the fruits, and now you just want to do it. And here's that guidance that shows you how to do it visually and text-based. And that empowers you basically to get like a very tasty and good juice out of it. So that's kind of like what we envision long term on what we are doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's absolutely, yeah. It's the future of cookbooks, honestly.
yeah, exactly. it's like
cool.
Enabling or empowering people. That what we were looking for. Like, just imagine you have like your washing machine and it breaks down, and your neighbor actually has all the tools and equipment to fix it, and there's no service guy around, right? What he could do is like he could just use our solution to fix it right on, and there's like less trouble involved, and the people can do things more themselves, and that's, I think, a really great thing. If you see like people that they can achieve something with the support of such a system.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I like it a lot. Well, no, I'm excited about this, and I think I think a lot of manufacturers should be as well. I'm excited to mention it to some of my customers, and I know there's people out there that I'm going to come across that'll be interested in getting an introduction with you. So, thanks a lot for coming on and sharing what you've created. I think it's great.
Thanks a lot, Nate, also for hosting me, for having me, and if anyone is interested in getting a small demo, just hit me up, and I'm happy to share it.